Brianna Aguilera, a student at Texas A&M, was found dead hours after a football tailgate in Austin, Texas. And here is what we know. Brianna attended a tailgate on Friday, which was November 28th, reportedly getting kicked out after becoming too intoxicated, and then later returned to a friend's apartment. Brianna's mother says she stopped responding to her phone around 6 p.m. that night. Hours later, she was found outside of the apartment complex, unresponsive, and police are not investigating this as a homicide, telling her mother that she either fell 17 stories or jumped to her death from that apartment building.
Whoa. Okay. Guys, welcome to the video. This is Justin Paul. Man, this is a tragic story, man. My condolences to her family. My heart goes out to them. They're a college student. She was a Texas A&M student. She was found dead hours after a tailgate. She was kicked out of a party because she was intoxicated, and she went to a friend's apartment where she was staying, and around 6 p.m. they're saying that she stopped responding to texts, because of course if you have any child, you're going to check on your child no matter what age they are, and especially if they're away at college. And then the next, well, around 12:47 that morning, they responded to an unresponsive person. And the police aren't saying that this is a homicide, but hopefully they're just saying that to kind of like throw stuff off. But they're still investigating this because you really don't know if it's a homicide or not. They said that they told her mother that she may have fell or jumped to her death, which I just, I don't know, man. There's just something about that just doesn't sound right. I'm gonna let the video continue though.
Brianna's mother, Stephanie Rodriguez, joins us now. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you.
I know that you never thought you would be in this situation. As a mother, my heart goes out to you. So we all apologize, and we're so sorry for what you're going through. But tell us what you know. What happened that day?
My daughter attended the tailgate. She left happily. She had just come home from College Station. We were expecting her around this time next week to stay for a month and a half. She left in the early hours of Friday around 8:30 a.m., arrived in Austin with her friends. She told me she had gotten there. She had shown me her outfit. She FaceTimed me. It was a rule. Um, she was not allowed to put her phone on Do Not Disturb or even ever change her location. So when she stopped responding to my calls, which was around 6 p.m., that I noticed that her phone was on Do Not Disturb, I found it very skeptical. Brianna would never do that. And so I just felt, I said, okay, maybe she's at the tailgate party. Her boyfriend didn't go with her. They're having issues. That's ultimately what I thought. But at the point of it being 11 p.m., and her not responding, her phone still pinging in the same area, but now in the woods, that's when I grew more speculation that was not right.
So, man, something just doesn't sit right with this. Like her phone was found in the woods, and they had a rule amongst each other where she was not supposed to put her phone on Do Not Disturb. And that's, a lot of people are not going to know that information. She definitely more than likely didn't disclose that information to anybody. So that right there sets off a lot of flags, a lot of stuff that needs to be, investigated. And if the mom is saying, maybe that her and the boyfriend was having some type of issues, maybe that's something that has been like a frequent occurrence within their relationship. Not saying that he's a suspect or not, but at this point, all type of leads and everything has to be looked into. Sadly to say, but it does. And you know, I mean, I'm not sure if she fell near a wooded area or whatnot, but You know, when I hear her phone's in a wooded area, but she fell out of an apartment complex, a lot of times they clear out those woods in order to build these apartment complexes. So I don't know, like I said, something just doesn't feel right about this whole thing.
I called Austin PD. I asked them to go to the scene of the tailgate party, but they told me that since it wasn't 24 hours that she had been missing, they couldn't go. They couldn't even do like a welfare check, nothing. And so they said you have to wait a couple of more hours, and if she doesn't turn up by the morning, then call again.
That's a crazy policy to that you're not able, like, if a parent calls and they're concerned, their child is away at college, and you tell them they have to wait a few more hours, um, in order for you to go out and do a welfare check or to check in on it and make sure that she's okay and stuff like that. Man, that's just a crazy policy. And the thing is, man, it's not one officer within that department who has a child who would say, that they will be waiting a few hours in order to call and hear about the welfare of their child. It's not. I doubt it'll be one officer in there that will say, "Yeah, I would be comfortable with that." They have to look at these policies, man, and like re-examine them because a lot of this policy sometimes that they have, it just doesn't make any type of sense. Especially when you have a worried parent who wants to make sure that their child is all right. It just doesn't make sense.
She's probably intoxicated somewhere, asleep. She'll call you in the morning. Um, I I did that, but I was still, waking up, tossing and turning, checking her location. And when I woke up in the morning and it still showed there that it was at the complex center at Rugsby Complex Center, that's when I knew that something wasn't right. I had to prompt Austin PD to do a search, to go and search for my daughter, because you know, as any mother, like, where's my daughter? How come she hasn't called me? That was
Hmm.
never the case ever. And so finally, I came across a female officer who, by the grace of God, she touched her heart, and she was a mother too. And I said, please, like, I haven't spoken to my daughter since 4 p.m. yesterday. Like, this is almost going to be like 24 hours. Can you
Hmm.
please go and search for her phone? It was pinging off the same place, but now in the woods by a creek. We have all heard of the creek, murders and women and men turning up in creeks, by, I don't know what it's called in Austin, but, there's been several murders that have been reported. And so at that point, she sent out a search team. But even at that, the officers were, I felt they were kind of like racist. They had asked me for the identification of my daughter, what race she was. When I said she was Hispanic, they kind of were like, oh, okay, well, can you send us the coordinates of the phone? Can you send us the picture of where the phone is pinging off? And I mean, I didn't have a problem with doing that, but that's what they get paid for. So, I mean, there's just been so many inconsistencies with this case. A lot of new details are coming to light. They found my daughter's phone eventually in her friend's
Hmm.
purse that was thrown in the woods. And shortly after 4 p.m., they called me back and they told me that my daughter's body had been found in a morgue.
So where did they find who?
Yo, like I said, man, it was not very good police work. So her phone was found in a friend's purse that was thrown in the woods, and then though they found her daughter's body at the morgue. It's crazy, man. There's gonna be a lot more to this story than what's coming out. My heart goes out to this mother, man, because that's she was tossing and turning. She knew something was wrong from the jump, and she did all the proper precautions to call and try to make them aware, and they really dropped the ball by telling her to wait a few more hours. You know, those few more hours probably could have saved her life. We just don't know. We gotta wait and get more information, but something just doesn't. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't.
Took the body to the morgue. Was she on the pavement below the apartment building and her purse and her phone were near a creek? And what are the people inside the apartment? I read that there were 15 people in the apartment with her.
Yeah.
What did they say? Did they see anything?
No one wanted to answer my phone calls. By this time, I had already spoken to her boyfriend. He had given me all the numbers to the people inside the apartment, and no one was answering. Um, I went ahead and called Austin Police Department again, and they weren't giving me any answers. When I heard the news that my daughter was dead, um, I couldn't believe it.
So they're
I
not
said,
in,
no,
I'm sorry, they're not investigating it as a homicide. Let me read the statement from the
no,
police. This is
at
Austin
all.
Police. They say multiple detectives continue to interview witnesses, gather evidence, and work carefully through the details of this incident. At this stage in the investigation, the facts obtained do not indicate that this is a homicide. This case continues to be treated strictly as a death investigation, and there's no evidence to suggest or support any suspicious or criminal circumstances surrounding Miss Aguilera's passing. The cause of death will be determined by the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office. I know they're waiting on toxicology reports. They're saying it was either accidental death or it was a suicide, but you say your daughter was not suicidal.
No, she was not. And even her father and I actually had to travel up to Austin to talk to the investigator, and we actually demanded to be switched detective because he was just very rude. Um, Still super rude. I was planning my daughter's funeral today, and he was like, "So do you want to see like where your daughter fell from?" And we had been asking that when we were in Austin yesterday or Monday. I just thought it was very rude. He hasn't taken this investigation seriously. Everyone vacated the apartment. The person living at the apartment left. I am a mother of a college student who she was in college, and it's so hard to get out of a lease. You can't just leave.
Nah, you can't. You can't. You have to find a subleaser or something like that. You can't just leave. Like I said, a lot in this story just not adding up. It's not making sense. And how is there 15 people in this apartment and no one wants to say anything? You know, this young lady is deceased, and nobody wants to say anything. And it's just like a lot of this stuff just doesn't add up. And it's crazy that, you know, the detectives and stuff like that would feel like they have so much more better to do than to help this family of a college student who died within their facility in their jurisdiction. And they don't want to really put forth the effort to like truly help them. They had to ask for a different detective. It's just very, very sad, honestly. And again, my heart goes out to this mother. I'm gonna see, you know, what else she has to say before I close out.
Okay.
you
Well,
know and so that's another thing that we questioned, and
yeah.
they're just saying that she was suicidal, and I said she was not suicidal. We looked at the
Yeah.
rail.
Well,
My
Stephanie,
daughter's not that tall.
yeah, a mother knows. A mother knows when their child is suicidal or having depression issues. And you say that wasn't the case here. We're so sorry
Never.
for your loss. Hopefully someone will see this interview and come forward, because these college games, this is their biggest game of the season, playing their
Yeah.
rival. Hopefully someone saw something and will call police or call you and let you know the details.
Yeah, hopefully somebody ends up having a heart. Um, hopefully, you know, it eats at their conscience enough and has a heart to come forth with, you know, better information, because it just doesn't sound right. You know, and even if you're a belligerent drunk, you know, if these are your friends and associates or whatever, you know, they're not gonna let you go out and be near a rail to where you could fall over or anything like that, you know. And a lot just doesn't make sense. As she said, her daughter wasn't as tall as, you know, being able to get over the railing or what's going on like that. So it just sounds like a lot of foul play going on in this whole situation. But we'll have to wait to get a lot more information. I mean, we got a lot of information from this video, but I feel like it's a lot more to it. And I'm gonna definitely keep my eyes and ears open to it. Again, guys, if you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. This is Justin Paul. Peace.